to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and the pledge by Councilman Dustin Swear.
Let's bow our head and say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas,
Present.
Councilmember Brooke Marcotte, Councilmember Marlon Lewis,
Here.
Councilmember David Broussard, Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter,
Here.
Councilmember Dee Dee Johnson-Reed,
Here.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here.
Thank you. Item 1, public comment. Do we have any public comment cards tonight? Don't see any. Then I'll ask you to please put your cell phones on vibrate, and we'll move on to agenda item 2.
Acceptance of the minutes of July 6, 2021, which will publish on July 24th, 2021.
So moved.
Do you have a motion?
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas and Councilwoman Brooke Marcotte. Is there any discussion on our minutes? Hearing and seeing none, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Item 3A.
Dickie Freeman to address the council and announce candidacy for city marshal.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, thank you for the time to address the council regarding my candidacy for the position of New Iberia City Marshal. It is humbling to be back in this building after these years. As you may or may not know, a large part of my law enforcement career took place here. During my span of 25 years as a New Iberia City police officer, I served with many special people, the community that I love. I'm asking for the opportunity again. As a retired captain, I'm seeking to bring 45 years of law enforcement back to these halls, this building, and to the streets of New Iberia. I feel my unquestionable service history and experience makes me the most qualified candidate for marshal. Very simply, that is why I chose to put my name on the October 9th ballot. I thank you for allowing me to speak, and also thank you for your willingness to invest your time and energy in serving our city. That's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, 3B.
Christy Blanchard from the Registrar of Voters Office to discuss reapportionment plan that went into effect July 9th, 2021, and changes to the polling locations.
Good afternoon. I'm Christy Blanchard.
Evening.
For you guys who don't know who I am, the Registrar for Iberia Parish. I was asked by the Parish Council to come and just let all of you know kind of what's happening with reapportionment. Now that I stand here today, this map is in full effect. Went into effect July 9th, which means we had 64 precincts in the parish. As of July 9th, we only have 37 precincts. So Louisiana legislation was given given opportunity to the local governments to reduce polling places due to budget reasons. One polling location, the average is $3,300 to operate a polling place. So a lot of the council members had come to me to get rid of polling places because we had 64 of them. So in 19, the parish lines froze. So the council at that time, whenever they decided with Mike Hefner, the demographer, who they hired to do the mapping and the lines, they voted to redraw the whole parish lines, and this is the map that they came up with. 37 precincts. So the reason I'm here, 10 years ago, it didn't happen this way. Reapportionment happened, but what's happening now, like the general public probably wouldn't have known, but for the fact that we had two people that have resigned from positions, which generated an election to happen in October. And also, state constitutional amendments will be on the ballot, which means it's a parish-wide, statewide election. So all the voters have to be notified of their new polling location. I'm roughly moving anywhere from 20,000 to 22,000 voters. 20,000 is gonna be moved to a new location and a district, and also some of the precincts are split, and some of those people who didn't move, their polling place has changed. So they're gonna be getting an ID card. You may get phone calls from the public saying, I got a new voter card, why did I go from District 3 to 2? Why did I go from 10 to whatever, so on. I'm here to let y'all know that y'all can explain it's due to reapportionment. It's a temporary change, because census numbers, when the demographer gets them, which is Mike Hefner, when he gets those numbers, he's gonna start working with the school board and the parish government. And maybe you may wanna get with the parish council or whatever and talk about redistricting that's gonna be happening in the next 3 to 4 months. So that some lines will move again, possibly, based on census numbers, and whatever entails with Mike Hefner's job to move them. So, again, my office is available. If you get calls, you don't feel like you can explain it, have them call me or my staff. We'll be able to explain why they were moved. If they're not sure, you know, the map's available that they can look at, they can come into the office. It's temporary. I'm thinking that it may go up, for the fall elections next year, which would be school board elections, and then they have some other things that'll be on the ballot. So, any questions about the reapportionment or anything?
I have one.
Yes.
Maybe professional opinion from you. Do you see this being a negative impact on voter outcome or positive?
The only thing I can say about negative would be that in this particular map in election, some people were moved, like for instance, 9-1, which is that light green way at the top. They have the pink and then the light green underneath. That's 9-1. You're gonna have some people from Generette having to travel all the way to Bell Place to vote for these next 2 elections. A lot of that is a lot of land, not a lot of voters, but it's gonna be inconvenient for that particular precinct to go. A lot of people, we talk about change, we talk about new technology, we talk about that. People wanna walk or just drive 2 miles to go vote. They can't be more than 10 miles from their home to the polling place. So that's not in this at all. That particular district is the only one that is like 9-point-something miles for them. Everywhere else, it's close, closing some like Coto, the fire station moved, so those people have to go under the overpass to the Francis Romero. You're talking 2 miles. As far as negative, the inconvenience of them using, their polling place might have just been a mile or so. They may have to drive 5 or 6 miles to get to the polling place. It's a cost factor. If you take the $3,300 and times 64 per precinct, that's costing.
Oh, I agree.
If it's just a certain entity, for instance, the parish council will be having District 3 in March, just them. Unless something comes up, they'll have to foot that bill, for those particular precincts. So that's the only negative thing I see. The positive would be the cost-saving factor for, some commissioners may be upset because they don't get to work, or it'll be less commissioners. But that's all I can see.
Thank you.
So I have
Anybody
a
else?
question.
Yes.
So how many of the polling stations in the city of New Iberia have been closed?
That Dee Dee, I'll have to get with you. I don't know that right off.
Okay.
But I could get back with you and give you the list of the ones that did change.
Okay,
that, closed aren't being used.
Yeah, we would like that. Then I can put that on the city website, and we can kind of start
Yeah.
early on
Yeah.
educating.
So- okay.
Because
we'll-
our reapportionment will come. This is not anything to do with our reapportionment.
Correct.
That will come
This is
after the
not-
census. Same thing with y'all. Y'all have another
Right.
one when census is officially adopted and
Correct.
you go through that process.
Yes.
So we do have reapportionment coming, but for now, yeah, if we could get that list, I could get that out there and educate our voters,
Yeah.
yeah, because we're probably, I mean, we know that we have a fourth of the people in the city that don't have transportation, so we'll
Right.
need to make sure nonprofit groups are aware so that they can transport these people to their polling locations. If it's, 2 or 3 miles further, they might not be able to walk there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, I can get that to you. And again, you're right, Freddie.
Yeah.
The city reapportionment lines will fall on top of the,
Correct.
in
Yeah.
the city. So, yeah. But I really like the map. Everything's more square for me as far as lines. And when you look at the statistics, when you go down the 37, it looks nice. It's all 1,000 something. You don't have the precinct with the 200 voters, 300 voters, 400 voters, 500, which,
Right.
but understand the reason why they had it that way. And again, the state from the top coming down, they're trying to reduce costs. So,
Okay,
yeah, and it's not like my office didn't decide this, it's the council, what goes back to 19 when the lines were frozen and then moving forward, from
Okay.
that part, so.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just go down like this. Yes, sir.
So Christie, election day, I know with the mail outs and the technology and notifying people, will y'all be having notifications on old polls in case somebody shows up to direct them in a
Yes.
specific direction?
Yes, now the clerk, David Ditch, he's been very good since he's taken office. He has his employees, his staff, they at all the polling places. So we haven't decided on if he'll go to the old ones, but there will be signs saying that, it's been moved. So that will definitely be posted. We're gonna try and do some type of news release. I'm going to all the different council and municipalities meetings to just talk about this so that y'all will know and then everyone else. But again, not everybody gets the paper, not everybody's on social media,
Right.
so, again, they're gonna get that card and ask questions, But yes, David's been real good about doing that part as far as elections, and we're staffed, that day of the election for people to call and see where they need to go. Yeah, and then, David's employees are there with their phone with the Go Vote app,
Right.
and they can look up the voter's name and tell them where they're supposed to be, so they're not driving all over. Yeah, and we're gonna do a drive-by with, my staff and probably Brenda with the fourth. We're gonna do a drive-by by the precincts that are closed to make sure the new signs are posted.
Yeah, that would be great.
Good.
Yeah,
Hello, Councilman Lewis.
I was at the parish council meeting when you explained this to the parish council, and I know, like you said, it's not your office doing it, from the state down, they're trying to cut back costs. Is it fair to say, just like any other business, when one location isn't producing revenue from retail, then we close that location and kind of concentrate it to, because I heard you say about, the polling places with the 200 and the 50, and those are, you're no longer going to see those because they're concentrating them to one central location within the community. My concern is the walking traffic in the western community and how that's going to affect, but I guess only time is going to tell with that. With all of the, of course, we see in the news every day with all of the voter suppression stuff, we just want to make sure that that isn't happening. And again, we know it's not coming from your office, but it's basically a business at the end of the day that they're feeling they're paying too much money to get 50 or 60 people to go vote in one spot. Is that fair to say? Or could you say that?
no,
Would you say
it's
that?
not, we don't wanna go where the voters are suppressed and they can't vote. We don't want that to happen.
What I'm saying, is it fair to say that because those polls there wasn't a lot of people going to those polls, so they're saying we're gonna,
Well, so maybe I didn't say that correctly, but, there's some laws, the revised statute that says, whenever you have a polling place with 300 or less, the state tries to get you to consolidate that with
That's
another
fine.
one.
Okay.
And then you can't have more than 2,200 voters at one polling place.
Okay.
So when you look at the stats, we have just one polling place, which is Avery Island, but they foot their own bill for that.
Okay.
Okay, so the 2,200, voters, we don't have that. But I mean, I do understand the concern of the walk-in traffic and, you know, people being able to go, but we have the older, the 65 and older, they can vote by mail if they feel comfortable with doing that.
Okay.
We have early voting for the 7 days. You know, in our office, sometimes it'll be 10 days. They could come to the courthouse, you know, if they could get there, you know, so, but, you know, maybe committees, whenever y'all gonna do y'all reapportionment in parish council and school board, you know, they can form a committee. So I would guess if you have any concerns, you can maybe get with those two boards, committees, and mention your concern of making sure that the city is taking care of as far as walk-in traffic.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm kind of getting you to kind of like break it down more in the layman terms, because for a lot of my constituents, a lot of people in my district, it's gonna be like a shock. Like, whoa, what's going, you follow what I'm saying? So we need to let them know that they're still gonna be able to vote, and seem like you have a plan in action to do that with having people at the old polling places and
Correct.
things of that nature.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is the GoVote app updated for those who are having to move to different locations?
Yes, it went live Friday with,
Okay.
everything's live, yes.
Okay, that's what I was wondering,
All
if
the
it
new
was already
places,
up to date or if it was lagging a little
No,
bit, so that's
it was live Friday.
good, very good.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
So, and again, any questions y'all have, voter registration, you know, call my office, call my staff.
Jeff had his hand up.
Yeah, so this might change where I vote, right?
Correct,
But there's no change yet in who I vote for.
correct.
Okay.
No taxing districts, no police jury, no school board, none of that has changed. Just the lines have changed. So for instance, the city marshal race that's gonna be happening in October. Everybody's still in the same city district. You know, we reduced precincts, so we're gonna have lockouts at different polling locations. So, you know, you may have, somebody, well, I mean, if you'd have city races going on, it's just mayor
Marshall.
city marshal
Yes.
race going on, so everybody votes just that. But if you would have, seats,
Council seats.
then it would be different. You'd have a lot of lockouts. You know, you would only be allowed to vote for.
That district.
District 6, if you had that, if they had 5 and 6 there, you couldn't vote for both. But we're gonna have a lot of that, you're not gonna have that in the fall, I'm sorry. You're not gonna have any of that, so.
Yes, ma'am.
My concern is you're cutting the polling places by almost half. Were all of those polling places less than 200 people?
No, no.
So how did that occur?
So the demographer went, the parish council hired the demographer, and he redrew the lines based on, what the revised statute stated, and drew off of the stats that he had, and there's certain rules he has to follow as far as districts, you know, minorities, just that kind of stuff. He has certain things he has to follow when he draws up, a district.
Could you give me that revised statute number?
I can get it to you. I don't have that with me. I can.
Because, like, you know, right now, voter suppression is a big thing. And lots of times it's in certain neighborhoods for some unknown reason, right?
Right.
That's what we're gonna say. But it shouldn't be harder to vote. It should be easier. But we're cutting polling places, so it's actually gonna be harder for some people to vote.
So most of the, like for instance, one comes to mind, St. Francis Diner and Johnston Hopkins were right across the street from each other. So those are the type of things that parish government and school board, you know, they need to look at, because there was no reason to have two, you know, one right across the street from another. That's the type of situations. And I know, cutting 27 of them out, you know, has taken away in the city and stuff. So any concerns y'all would have, I would say get with the council, parish council, and let them know those things, so that when they start redistricting, they will take y'all concerns and take that into consideration when they're looking at these maps.
Okay, and I'll look for that statute from you.
Yes, I can, how would you how do you want me to get it to y'all? Just call here and get your email and send it to you? Send it
Yeah,
to
our
you?
That's fine.
our
Okay, and the
email
list.
is on the website
Okay,
too.
I can maybe
Yeah.
send it to Erin and then she can send it out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Moving on. Item 4A.
Public hearing on special ordinance 2020-2021-09, amending the budget to reflect year-to-date actuals for general fund, budget amendment number 8.
I need a motion to open our public hearing.
Motion.
All right, we have a motion by Councilwoman Marcotte and a second by Councilman Lewis. Is there any public comment on this ordinance? Hearing and seeing none, I need a motion to close this public hearing.
Motion.
I think motion by Councilwoman DeeDee Reed and a second by Councilman Marlo Lewis. Thank y'all. Now we move on to 5A.
Special ordinance 2020-2021-09, amending the budget to reflect year-to-date actuals for general fund, budget amendment number 8.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Marcotte and a second, I think, by Councilman Swear. Thank you. Is there any discussion on this ordinance? Hearing and seeing none, please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. Item 6A.
Introduction of ordinance number 2021-12, an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of not exceeding $12,500,000 of revenue and refunding bonds of the City of New Iberia, Louisiana, prescribing the form, terms, and conditions of such bonds and providing for the payment thereof, authorizing an agreement with the paying agent and providing for other matters in connection therewith, and to set for public hearing on August 3rd, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Mayor Pro Tem, Ricky Gonsalas. I think Councilwoman Marcotte was the second. Any discussion on this item? I can't quit smiling because it's going to fix our roads. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, as I was reading through this, I noticed that it says that the ad valorem tax is gonna expire in 2032, but the bonds don't mature until 2041. So we're gonna have a renewal of that at some point?
Yes.
Okay, so is that gonna happen after our term? I mean, when does the renewal happen?
10 years, so.
10 years.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah,
all
so
right.
we, yeah, none of us, nobody
Yeah.
that's here will be here unless they in a different seat.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any idea about the engineering study on the actual?
I know they're working on it hot and heavy. Our engineer is sitting in the back. He probably wants to see if this is going to get funded, but no, I'm picking.
Oh, okay.
They are working on it. We had talked about August, September, they would be coming to the council, to give us a preliminary and get all of our input. I think that's still the plan, so we still pretty much on target.
All right.
Anybody? Yes, sir.
And I didn't hear Dustin's question, I tried not to ask the same question, but my question is, somebody asked me about our roads today.
Uh-huh.
If we were fixing our roads, and I told him, I said, the money is there. Is it fair to say that the money is there?
The money's on the way, okay?
Money's on the way?
I've negotiated our bonding. Jason Akers has taken a lot of steps. Jeff sat in and all that and helped me. We negotiated with 3 banks till we got a bank we wanted. They went out and sold the paper. It's coming, okay? Once we pass this, it's a couple of months and then we will have the money. But it's definitely coming. Probably September-ish, I think, October-ish, we should have, our funds. At the same time, we are looking at, by the time our engineers go through all their process, they come to us in August or September and give them what roads are the least safe in each district. That's what we instructed them to do. Then we all have input, of course. So all of you have input because you each represent a district. And I'm not saying that some of those streets might be, talked about, discussed, and we'll come to some consensus on what we're doing, and then they finish their work. So probably the way we talked about, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, we had said probably by January, we would be ready to go out for, bids. So it's coming, it's going as fast as it can go, but, there are some steps and a process. But we will have the money by the time we go out. We're not going out for bid till all this is finished, but we'll have the money, we'll go out for bid, we'll have selected the streets, y'all have input, and then from there we hit the go button. Provided our bids come back in relatively close to budget. You know, the good thing is, I mean, with this particular, there will be a lot of streets and a lot of things to pick from. We'll have some decisions to make on what quality we do and how we do it. The other thing is, you know, let's just say that we pick 10 streets for each district. If we have a budget crunch, well, then we're going to come back and we're going to say we got to cut one street in each district or whatever. You know, however we as a group, as a team, you know, make those decisions. But you can rest assured that we've taken the steps and, you know, this is moving. It's about time.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, I need to.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Deidre, you get.
Deidre.
Question is, the list that we're gonna receive, it's gonna be more streets than we can afford to do.
It well could.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Probably so.
Okay. So, I mean, we'll already have a list just in case we get some, additional money from a new administration on top of this.
We could. I mean, you know, if that was something that we chose to do. You know, the President Biden package doesn't pay for roads in this package.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Now,
talking
if
about.
another
Further on
package
down.
comes along, because I keep hearing about another infrastructure package, we'll already have the preliminary work done. And you're right, we can add on to this. I
Okay.
don't, you know, yes, ma'am. And if they tell me it's for roads, that's what we're gonna spend it on. I mean, that, we know that the $12,500,000 we're getting is not enough to fix all our roads. Don't ever think that that's enough to fix all the problems in the city. We are on a cycle that I am trying to break, that we can't afford to float a bond for about 15 years, 12 to 15 years, and then we get back on a road program. So with that large gap, other roads are crumbling and falling apart in the meantime. So, you know, if we had $30 million, we could probably put a huge dent in it. But this is a great start, but it's not enough to do everything. So if the second or third relief package would come along and it had roads on it, I'm grabbing it. I mean, we will sit, but we'll have the preliminary work done.
Okay.
So my question is
Yes.
not about the roads, it's actually about the money. So I don't remember, and my memory is probably faulty, but if we had determined what the interest rate was going to be back when we talked about this a few months ago, I'm just wondering if it's a fixed interest rate that we're going to pay because,
It is, and we have a payment plan, and we made some decisions early on, and we had brought it to the council. I don't have it in front of me.
Right.
Because the big decision was, how much do we stick the next guy? Because one thing we could have done is flip the financing and paid little less now, and then we'd all be out of office, and the poor people that replace us would be paying a higher note. I didn't want that.
Right.
So we pay more for the first 10 years, and then it goes down, so that by the time we're out of here, the next person has a breathing chance to do something good and not be strapped with as much debt.
okay. I was
I
just
can
trying
get
to-
it for you because we had it. Kevin, do you remember, or Jeff, do you remember the interest rate?
No, I don't.
I don't. I mean, they shopped it, and it was a very good rate, and it wasn't. I don't want to say what I think it was, and you know, but I can check for you. But we had that discussion, and we
Yeah, I
even
just-
have the payment plan.
I
That,
do remember us talking, but I don't think that they gave me the interest rate because I think I remember asking the question. You said we were going to
Okay.
find out later.
then I will
I
get
just want to
that
make
for you.
sure that because, you know, kicking the can down the road is great, except for the fact that, like you said, we don't want to strap them where they
Oh, I
can't do
agree,
anything.
and that's why we shopped it hard to get
Yeah.
a good interest rate.
Okay.
So I will get that information for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes.
So we do have some kind of say-so on which roads get done, to a certain extent. Like,
Y'all
of
have,
course,
y'all
they
have say
make the
y'all have
list.
say so on everything. I keep telling y'all that.
Making sure.
But you're right. Yes,
Okay,
yes. In other
so-
words, the engineer's task, which I think is the way to go, is to say find the worst roads. Don't find the political roads. Don't find who lives on what road or what guy you like or whatever. Okay, go find the worst roads. That to me is the clean way to do it. And then we come back. And then,
Okay.
but you will have, as each one of you, you know, you'll vote on everything. You will have an open discussion like we always do. And if you have a road that's in your craw that you don't want to fix and you want to fix another one more, bring it up, you know. But the charge right now to the engineers and what I think is the fairest way to approach this was find me the worst roads.
Okay.
That way it's a blind thing. You're just looking and he comes from an engineering perspective. That's the least political way to look at it. Do I think that will survive the whole process? Probably not. But that's how I thought, the fairest way to start.
That's why the
Okay,
rates
gotcha.
Okay.
Because once that newspaper article went out about this right here,
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
started getting the calls.
Oh, I'm
again.
sure.
I was like, oh, okay.
I'm sure.
But I just thought that the engineer was going to be the one who decided everything, but we do get to come back. And
No,
look at it. Okay, that's good.
they work for, I select them, but they work for all of us. Now, in a pure environment, yeah, you just say, engineer, do what you think. That's why we pay you, and that's why you're an engineer. Am I foolish enough to think that's how the world works? And it's not. So yeah, we'll all have input, everybody, and you know, everybody votes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it makes it fun. Anybody else? Then I would ask you to please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Item 7A.
Planning and zoning recommendations, resolution number 2169, a resolution in support of an application to the Office of Lieutenant Governor, Department of Culture, Recreation and Tourism for expansion of downtown historic cultural district.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Reed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second? Councilman Swear. Is there any discussion on this item?
So this is, most of this is occurring in District 5. And basically what they're trying to do is just expand it so that the school days apartments can receive some tax credits.
Correct.
So that they can make some improvements. And if you've ever visited the building, there's a lot of seniors that live there and handicapped people.
Yes.
So it's important that we get those improvements made on that building. And if this actually gives them an ability to spend more money to fix it,
Well, it
Sounds like
entices
you-
them to do the
Yes.
project at all, to tell you the truth.
Exactly.
I can tell you that without these tax credits, the project probably wouldn't happen.
exactly. And then
they
there's some,
made that clear to us.
yeah, there's some other buildings down there who, hopefully, some people will decide to redevelop those buildings as well.
Yes. Anybody else?
And basically a renovation of this tax credit.
HRI, School Days Apartments, who renovated that, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago. They are receiving some funding and have a way to do some new renovations, kind of bring it back up to date. But to do it, they needed these tax credits. And they went through the state, they went through the Office of Culture and Tourism that kind of oversees this. They followed all the rules. They did everything. In other words, we didn't spend a dime on this. They did all the paperwork. They contacted all the agencies. When they came to us, they basically had a whole package and said, the state's already approved it. Everybody else has already approved it. We had to put it on by this meeting, not to jeopardize the time frame.
Right.
But basically, it was really all done and brought to us.
For renovation of
Yes, of School Days Apartments.
school days.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
We need to let our public know that we still fight for the elderly. and
definitely,
disabled
Yeah.
definitely.
everywhere we can.
Yes. Anybody else? Then please vote your machines. Thank y'all. All right. Item 8.
Resolution 21-70, declaring that the buildings at address 427 Field Street, New Iberia, Louisiana, 70560, District 5, is in a dilapidated and dangerous condition, and setting date for public hearing on October 19th, 2021.
Jimmy? Oh, wait, I need a motion to open. I'm sorry. I'm like ready to go.
So moved.
Motion by the Mayor Pro Tem and a second by Councilman Lewis.
Is it,
I'm coming, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
District five.
All right.
So I have a motion and a second on the floor. I'm all jacked up. Let Jimmy go, we vote. Okay, Jimmy goes, huh? Yeah, go ahead, Jimmy.
This is just setting it for public hearing.
Right.
I've got a lot of complaints about this house, the kids playing in it and stuff. And it's,
Yeah.
it recently burned.
Recently
Yeah.
burned.
And, yeah, so it's definitely not, it wasn't safe before.
I know.
It's 10 times worse now.
July 5th.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it was a crime scene before that.
yes,
And a
Yeah.
bad when you say children playing in it.
There's a
I
lot of
believe
kids.
there's
There's
some
a lot of
bad-
kids.
yeah.
A lot of concentration of kids in that
Yeah.
area.
And there's a lot of homeless that hang out in that area too.
Yes, sir, Jeff.
I actually talked to the owner of this one, because I'd done some estate work a while back for them and before the fire. And they said they're gonna get a permit and tear it down, but I don't know if they're moving yet. So,
Hopefully this will get them on the ball.
yeah, we need to get them
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
So we have a way to reach them, but we need to get them moving.
You have any other discussion?
And look, just
Yes.
to reiterate.
Yes.
And like you said, that house has had so much attention
It has.
as of late. People don't wanna go see,
That's.
kids don't wanna go see.
And I'll be honest with you, we kind of rushed this one on the list
Right.
because I already had calls and was having problems with kids going in with some other issues. So the police kind of flagged it off, and we kind of added this one at a fast pace because there has been some issues already, and it seems that curiosity is, you know,
Yeah. I sent it in too the other day.
yeah,
It's like,
I know that.
Yeah.
I know,
like, this one has to go.
yeah. So we have any other discussion? So we set for public hearing and keep moving. Okay, I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. Madam Clerk, 8B.
Resolution 2171, declaring that the buildings at address 205 Horton Street, New Iberia, Louisiana, District 6, is in a dilapidated and dangerous condition, and setting date for public hearing on October 19th, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Motion by Councilman
Second.
Swear, second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Jimmy?
Same one.
That's the one that we had property owner issues at the
Yes.
last.
Ended up being on
last
3
time.
lots. I'm calling Jeff again. Jeff? He's busy
Yeah.
tonight.
No, we're just backing up to do right what we didn't do right before. Because we had a discussion about this, everybody voted to move on it. If you remember, we called it 118 Hortense Street, which is not the right address. So after we had our discussion and did all our stuff, I went out the Wednesday morning after the meeting and walked on the property, and I could see it wasn't 118 because it's on the odd side of the street. So there's a 205 that's underneath some little sign that had been put on the house. So we determined that it wasn't 118, it was 205, that the mobile home was owned by people who didn't own the land, so we need to give them notice also. And the back end of the mobile home is on somebody else's property. So, we need to back up and do this one right, and that's why it's back on the list. We're gonna give notice to everybody.
Councilman Swear, you have something to say?
Correction. It was turned in as 205.
Oh, okay.
Someone came back and said, no, it was 118. So this has been a cat and mouse get up since God knows when.
And at the meeting, when we had this discussion, you slid over to me an aerial photograph that says, look at this.
205. Exactly, but I was hearing
No.
from him.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Landry, that was 118.
Well, the assessor has 118.
He's like,
That's where
Okay,
we
so
That's what I'm charged to go with, on the assessor's rolls.
We,
So
I get that, but I got the
we
finger
got
pointing
it
at
straight.
me,
We got it
turning
straight.
in the wrong address.
It's coming. It's coming.
Okay, so the question I have,
Crime,
do we have
we'll
it
fix
cleared
it.
up with how many properties is this mobile home sitting on? 2? Okay. So are we in the resolution, are we notifying all of these property owners? Even the Joneses?
yeah, we're gonna set this one for here. We're gonna notify whoever the owners are. Yeah.
Okay,
Property and the trailer.
all right, 10-4.
any other discussion?
I was gonna ask who the cat belonged to.
I don't know.
So do I have to vote on misinformation, Dustin?
So,
I have to vote on misinformation?
Someone will help, should be held accountable.
I'm gonna have to cut this one short.
Yeah.
If there's nothing further, please vote your machines. Thank y'all. Madam Clerk, 8C.
Resolution 2172, declaring that the buildings at 238 Johnston Alley, New Iberia, Louisiana, 70560, District 6, is in a dilapidated and dangerous condition, and setting date for public hearing on October 19th, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Motion by Councilman Swear and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Jimmy?
Yep. This one ate up with termites. Bad.
Is somebody living in?
Hang on. Yeah.
I don't think so. Okay. I think they're living in the van.
Does it have
Jimmy,
termites?
Is this the one directly across from the park? Okay,
Yes.
good. The reason why I brought that up, and this one was on the list, The Little Brooklyn Initiative has been doing a lot of work in revamping this area,
Mm-hmm.
painting and doing the houses and cleaning up the park. I actually put in, out of my $100,000, I believe it, I don't know exactly what the number is right off, pavilion to go in that park, so
50,000.
it's 50,000? I
Yes.
didn't know, yeah, 50 grand. So I wanted to keep that momentum going and help them by getting this one out of here too, so hopefully this one can be going soon. Just clearing that up.
Anybody else? Then I'd ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you. Madam Clerk, 8D.
Resolution 2173, declaring that the buildings at address 1004 Park Avenue, New Iberia, Louisiana 70560, District 4, is in a dilapidated and dangerous condition, and setting date for public hearing on October 19th, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Do I have a second?
Second.
I don't know who. Councilwoman Dieterich. Jimmy?
Yeah, this house is overgrown in vines. The siding's all off of it. It's open. The windows all busted. It's not being maintained.
Okay. Any discussion on this? No discussion? Then please vote your machines. Madam Clerk, 8E.
Resolution 21-74, declaring that the buildings at address 1204 Park Avenue, New Iberia, Louisiana 70560, District 4, is in a dilapidated and dangerous condition, and setting date for public hearing on October 19th, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Marcotte. Any discussion on this one? Hearing and seeing none, please vote your machines. Thanks again. Eight F.
Resolution 2175, declaring that the buildings at 124 Santa Ynez Street, New Iberia, Louisiana 70560, District 1, is in a dilapidated and dangerous condition, and setting date for public hearing on October 19th, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilwoman Marcotte, second, Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas. Jimmy?
The house is burnt. There's a hole in the middle of the roof. It burnt in July of 2018. And nothing's been done with it. I can only imagine what the inside looks like.
Any discussion?
I've been told
Yes.
that there's a family of armadillos that live in that house now. That's what the neighbors are calling and complaining about because they're starting to venture off into everyone else's yard. So hopefully the owner of the house will come to the meeting and volunteer to do something with it so that we don't have to. That's it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Then please vote your machines. Item 8G.
Resolution 21-76, declaring that the buildings at address 315 St. Jude Avenue, New Iberia, Louisiana 70560, in District 5, is in a dilapidated and dangerous condition, and setting date for public hearing on October 19th, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Reed. Do I have a second? Councilwoman Ledbetter. Is there any discussion on this one? Hearing and seeing none, please vote your machines. Thank you. And our last one, 8H.
Resolution 2177, declaring that the buildings at address 318 Week Street, New Iberia, Louisiana 70560, in District 5, is in a dilapidated and dangerous condition, and setting date for public hearing on October 19th, 2021.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas, and the second by Councilwoman Dieterich. Is there any discussion on this? Mr. Broussard is not here.
I think it's in my district.
Oh, it is, I'm
District
sorry.
5?
Yeah, it's 5. I didn't even look. I don't know why I thought that one.
Yeah. once again, it's not being maintained, so.
Yeah.
Well, it's starting to have structural issues.
Right.
The front corner's on the ground, the porch, the posts are gone,
Yeah.
it's gonna fall.
Any other discussion?
I got-
Yes, sir.
Can I ask you? Jimmy, I think I spoke to the mayor maybe a couple months ago as we were going through these properties and demolitions, and in my opinion, I think what I'd like to see is maybe some progress, maybe when you come next time, a few pictures. I'd like to see what we accomplishing when we're approving these houses, and cleaning up the city.
Yeah, some after pictures.
After pictures. Yeah, not all of them, just a few, and I'd ask them if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. A couple times you did a year wrap-up, you remember?
Yeah.
But I think Ricky's got a good point of not waiting that long. So kind of when we get some cleaned up, you got to go check them out anyway.
Yeah, yeah, I take a final
And you
picture.
take final
I can-
pictures, just
I can
kinda-
go take some of the last ones we did.
Good, good. You can bring me some more that can be on deck of if you don't do something, it's coming. And you can bring me some pictures of some successes. That'd be great.
I just think it'd be a good
Yeah.
idea for the public to see.
Yeah.
That we're
Before
cleaning
and
up.
after.
Before and after, you know? Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I can do that.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How many, so after the public hearing, so like these are going on October 19th? So how many meetings after that public hearing can we take action?
If you demolish at that meeting,
Yeah, it's done.
then I can proceed with asbestos testing and what I need to do on my end to get it torn down.
So if we
I'm-
decided on October
Yes.
19th to demolish, then you can start the ball rolling.
Yeah.
as-
In other words, our kind of new ramped up system, first we put money. We have more money than we've had before, and I promise you I will put more money when we run out. We've always said that. So if we want to stay on task, you see how long it takes and how many meetings you have to have and the time you have to, because this is the most drastic thing government can do. We take in something that's somebody's and we're knocking it down. So with that said, though, if we continue to pick houses that are in the worst condition, that need to go, that many of them have been in this condition for a long time, and we don't say, okay, 30 days, 60 days, and we keep moving on them, we're going to much quicker, make a change in our city.
Right.
All of that, well, maybe, and then we end up letting it slide, or people keep coming. If they come and they have a real plan, and we don't have to do it, that they do it themselves, that's a win. But we need to kind of keep the time short and the window short when people come, because how many times have we had people just keep coming and prolonging it and prolonging it, then we end up tearing it down anyway. But now the neighbors have been affected, our neighborhoods have been affected for sometimes 6 months, 8 months, a year longer. So if we try to concentrate on houses that either that owner's gonna come and say, I'm doing something, or we know kind of going in, we're gonna pull the trigger on the night we can. We would kind of get our pace going at a better pace to where we can continue to do this and really make a difference, because, the problem's not going away. Yes, sir.
And if the council votes to give them time, if it says we vote to demolish unless within so many days, 1, 2, 3 are done, then it doesn't have to come back before the council for review. If the work is done, it doesn't get demolished. If the work's not done, Jimmy goes ahead, so.
That would be a big tool that we
We've done
haven't
that sometimes.
used. Yeah, we've done it a few times, but if we could be consistent with that, on the 31st day, you could just
Yeah.
say, let it rip. I mean, we want people to save their houses. None of us want to represent empty lots. We all want to have neighbors and citizens, but it's not always the case. I mean, on some of these, nobody's coming to live in that again, So, anyway.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
We
And remember, we
giving
got to vote after this, but
Yeah,
I won't forget. Yes, ma'am.
But we giving them until, for this group, October 19th. They're gonna be notified in the meantime.
Yeah.
So technically, if they plan to do anything with it, they should start working on it during that time.
And they should come to the public.
You're exactly right, and they
hearing
should come to the public hearing.
With-
So we're
with
giving them,
repairs.
yeah, we're not doing
if they're
anything,
gonna do anything.
but give people opportunity, notice and opportunity.
So if they don't do anything before this date, too bad, so sad.
Yes, ma'am. That's where we head. Anybody, any other comments? Then please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. Madam Clerk, 9A.
Resolution 2178, approving renewal of intergovernmental agreement between the City of New Iberia and Iberia Parish Law Enforcement District for housing of prisoners at Iberia Parish Criminal Justice Facility.
Do I have a motion? Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Ricky Gonsalas, second by Councilwoman Ledbetter. Is there any discussion?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So, on average, how many prisoners do they house for us?
It depends. Like right now during COVID, where we don't book misdemeanors, but at any one time, we have quite a few prisoners. To give you an exact count, I can't because it just depends on the crime. But, you know, do we have 20 prisoners, 30 prisoners? Yeah, I'm sure we do.
Okay,
It's a floating thing, and then we pay for them until the DA accepts them, and then it gets off of our nickel. They're not on our nickel the whole time they're in prison, in
Okay.
jail. They do get off our nickel, and this, you know, yeah, I'll say my little remarks after. Yeah.
and then, are they tested for COVID before they're taken to jail? Because, I mean, it says something about not accepting people with flu-like, I'm just trying to figure out, are we testing them before they go to jail, or are they tested once they get there? How's that handled?
I do not know that. We don't run the jail. The sheriff and his people run the jail. I do know that there are times that if someone is sick, there are times they bring them to the hospital. You know, there's a window there and to check. And then once they're if they get sick after they're in the jail, then the sheriff is on the hook for the medical bills.
Okay,
It just kind of depends on how it goes. But what their exact protocol is, I'm not positive. I mean, it's probably changed more than once during the pandemic, but I know that they aren't booking misdemeanors, or they do sometimes. Like if you have a repeat, we've had people that, you know, the judge is called because they've committed the same crime 3 times, 4 times, then they are taking them. But I do know that they have limited it, you know, with COVID.
okay.
Just like we cut back on our litter pickup because we didn't want our 2 transport officers exposed. You know, things have changed. I'm hoping that eases up because I think that jail is a great deterrent, and the more that you can put people in jail for their actions, the less likely they are to continue to repeat it. But anyway, anything else?
No, I was just trying to understand the whole
Yes.
COVID thing because we're still in the
I know.
pandemic.
You know, it's still complicated. Anybody else? Then I need to thank the sheriff because this is a renewal. The sheriff, myself, and our police chief negotiated this, and we got the same rate that we had before, and it's, I was very pleased with that, and the sheriff worked very well with us, you know, to make this happen.
Okay.
So if there's no other discussion, please vote your machines. Thank you all very much. Item 10, Councilman's remarks. I don't know whose side I started on last time. I don't remember. Brooke?
Okay. I just want to remind the public
Okay.
that all of our contact information is on the city's website. So if you need to get in touch with your council person, you can find our numbers over there and just give us a call if you need anything. I've been hearing a lot lately, no one knows how to get in touch with their council member, which is bizarre to me because our information is out there. So just a friendly reminder that you can find our information on the City of New Iberia's website. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Lewis?
Get in touch with me.
I think we gotta get in touch with me.
For those that don't know how to get in touch with me, my cell number is 337-577-3448. 337-577-3448. Councilman Marlon Lewis, District 2. Man, for me, it's COVID-19. You know, I got a text or email from the State Disease Center of Disease Control or whatever, and there's 500,000 known cases of COVID-19. And I know all of us up here are vaccinated, and I know the question now is if I'm vaccinated, do I wear my mask? Should I wear my mask? Should I respect other people? Can I still catch it? Well, you can still catch it, you just won't die from it. You can still catch it, you just won't die from it. And it's a synthetic vaccination. It's not your traditional where they shoot a virus in you, and you know this was made in the lab, and it hasn't been FDA approved either. They haven't been FDA approved. I'm vaccinated. There's 500,000 known cases in the state of Louisiana. I'm not saying that we make a ruling, mandate masks. We're gonna do as we always do, follow our mayor as he follows the governor's office. But I do believe that people need to take heed to that the disease is still out there. There's not enough people that are vaccinated, and I believe that that's why it's still spreading. I'm making people wear masks inside my place of business, and I'm suggesting that people who are in an environment where they know, and Ms. Ledbetter, you said a lot last time, less than 30% people are vaccinated, and it's the 70% out there that's not wearing their mask and having a good time. So wear your mask, take heed, get vaccinated. Thank you, man. Councilman.
Rick?
Yeah, just want to give a shout out. I know Freddie shouted out to the sheriff, but last week the sheriff went out and cleaned up the Pepperplex with his inmates and did some weed eating and cleaned up. And I just think it's so important to take an initiative for our kids in our parish. And I'm looking for good things in the future for our kids in Iberia, in the city and Iberia Parish as well. But thanks to Tommy and the sheriff department for doing that. That really helped out a bunch. Also, as we were listening to Christie talk about closing some of the polling places and moving people to different voting locations. And remember that we just made a budget amendment 2 meetings ago in the general fund of I think it was like $30,000 or something, Kevin, to pay for elections. Well, the next time we're gonna have to make that budget amendment, that number's gonna be significantly less. So it's gonna be a cost savings to the city down the road. It probably may be some inconvenience, a learning curve to come with it, but it is a cost saving when you look at the big picture. So I think once everybody gets a hold of the system and gets it done, I think it's going to be a win-win for the city as well as the constituents that live in the city.
Thank you. Peter?
Well, as you have heard, I'm not really pleased with closing down 27 polling places in our area, in our parish. I really wish that people who will be affected will not just be sent a little card saying that now you're gonna be at precinct 5 instead of precinct 6. They need to know where that precinct is ahead of time, and know that the one that they were previously voting at is closed. So I hope, and I'm sure, pretty sure I guess, that they will have provisional ballots for those who go to the wrong polling place, because we know that's going to happen. If you change and the person doesn't know, and like she said, that some people, somebody from the Mr. Ditch's office will probably be there for help. But oftentimes they need to have a provisional ballot in order to vote and then clear that up, within the 7 days at the registrar's office. So hopefully those things will be put in place. Because, if my polling place is changed, I want to know which one I'm supposed to go to and where it's located, not just that it's supposed to be number 6. Just a number on it. So hopefully they take heed to that and really, since they're doing all this closing, actually do the work that's going to be needed to support the people who will no longer be at those polling places. And that's all. Oh, please, again, get vaccinated. Wear your mask. Like I said, the 80% of you that are not vaccinated, you should be masked up. Wearing a mask doesn't say you're not vaccinated, because I'm fully vaccinated, but you don't see me without my mask. And I know several people in here have been vaccinated, but we still wear our masks. So those of you who haven't been vaccinated, and if you don't plan to be vaccinated, please wear your mask in order to protect others and yourself too, because you can you can get it, you can contract it and pass it on to several people, and it can be deadly to some and maybe not to you. So please think about others in this pandemic, because it's not over yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So first I'd like to start by congratulating Zayla Avant-Garde for the 14-year-old African-American who won the spelling bee. She put us on the map. Congratulations, young lady. That was just a tremendous accomplishment. I'd also like to remind the people in the city, if you're a senior citizen and you need help with making repairs to your home, there's an information session tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at the Slyman Theater, where you can come and learn about the USDA repair grant. We'll give you information on, how to qualify for it. And, hopefully it will be something that will help some of our seniors make some health and safety repairs to their homes so that, most of them can live in a more safe environment. Also, we have a historic African-American cemetery here in the city of New Iberia. It was one of the first places where African-Americans were allowed to be buried in this city, and it was a place where almost every African-American in the city has a loved one buried. The graveyard has kind of fallen in disrepair. It's actually a lot of overgrown weeds out there because there's no church associated with it, and sometimes I think what happens is that they really depend on volunteers to kind of keep it clean. Well, we're trying to come up with a different strategy, something that's more long-term, because using volunteers is a very temporary solution. We're asking, and this is for everybody in the city, anybody, if you would like to help us to maintain this graveyard, since there's no church associated with this, to adopt a grave, because some of these graves are over 100 years old. And we don't know who the family members are, we don't know how to contact any of these people, but it has such historic significance to the community, to the entire city, that we need to, as a community, take care of it. So we're asking people to donate $12 a year to maintain a grave in that cemetery so that we can keep it cut and weedy and looking really nice so people can come visit their loved ones and don't have to worry about walking through high grass. And then the last thing I just want to remind everybody, we're having an event on July 31st. Downtown Ann Street, we're going to do a cleanup, we're going to cut grass, and we're also going to paint a house. So this is the Downtown Neighborhood Association trying to put together a grassroots event to really start a revitalization of that area of town. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you made contact with Parish Proud?
No, you were.
I did the first initial contract, and
Okay.
they said, so I'm gonna remember, and I'm
Okay,
telling you
yeah, I'll
publicly,
call
so I do
tomorrow then.
remember.
Okay.
Let's talk about it tomorrow, because I think they're gonna join us on this.
Okay, excellent.
Which would be more volunteers and more
Go-
resources.
Yeah.
You gonna send the details out, times and stuff to us, if you don't mind?
Yes, I sure can.
Okay.
Thank you, Ricky.
Dustin?
Yeah, I have a comment. I want to thank the mayor and the administration for sending out the press releases of the new businesses that are coming. With that info we have, and then also with the road bond coming, I think we have some good, really good positive things happening in this city. And I'm embracing that more than anything right now. So, and I hope y'all do the same. So thank you.
Thank you. I don't have too many. Our next meeting is August the 3rd. Remember that we still have surveys that you can participate in for MS4 stormwater, because that helps as one of our requirements. I'm excited that when the President Biden package comes, we're going to be able to do some work on the MS4 storm. Basically, the big item is the oil and water separator of Public Works. So I'm excited that you'll be seeing us. I'll be bringing some projects that are related to MS4, because we're mandated to meet those requirements by the state. And we still have properties for sale on Civic Source. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Thank you.